All right. So this one's going to be longer because there's just so many clips. But this video basically features the progression from last video, and particularly a fairly injury-free period of training in which my squat, bench, and deadlift kind of exploded. Throughout this video, you'll just see so many clips. You might get the sense that basically seems like I'm doing the exact same thing week in, week out. But by the end of the video, you'll realize that the weights are in fact a lot bigger. Over the past 2.5, 3 months, I've made enormous progress in the deadlift and the squat and the bench, actually. So my bench all-time PR on a triple went from 230 or 235 to 255 in this block. My deadlift PR, in the course of this video, there'll be me starting triples with as low as 4 plates and peaking at a top single of 500 pounds. I PR'd I did a 495, like a 5-plate single, and a 5-plate with the 2.5s, top single as well. The bench goes from 2-plate triples or maybe even doubles, as we see here, maybe, all the way to a 255 triple. I still haven't done a bench single in a very long time. There's one example of a fail in this where I actually do, and it was on like an off day and everything, and it just totally failed. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. The next single I plan on hitting is 275, and only when I have it. And then the squat, basically just trying out the squat again for the first time, doing 2 plates, then just doing 3 plates, then 3 plates for working sets, to a ridiculous 65-pound PR, touching the 4-plate mark for the first time ever for a very clean single. So I guess now I'll just actually talk about the clips as we see them. But so far, most of these have been deadlift clips using straps. And then at some point in this video, you'll see that there basically are no straps. So for the deadlift, here you see I'm frustrated. I'm losing my grip using straps. Eventually, I start using hook grip again, as we see here. And I notice it's just everything's moving. Everything's moving extremely well. A few new things about my deadlift. Still pulling sumo, of course, but my new cues are to try to flex my abs downward on the exhale, keep that core positioning, and then inhale as deeply as possible into that braced core. So I'm mindful of that on every rep now. And then secondly, tucking the armpits into my front pockets, which is probably more of a mental cue than anything. But it helps to keep my shoulder blades rounded, because I do a top-down approach, and sometimes I find that leads to my sort of shoulder blades retracting and getting those sort of wings, as opposed to what I want, which I eventually start to figure out. As you'll see, it's more of a turtle shell, slightly bent kind of back positioning. So here, this is right when me and my friends got back from the cottage. This is a sort of deload-ish, yet turns out to be a super max kind of effort sort of deal. Not actually. My lifts look stickier than they feel sometimes, but more often the opposite is true. I feel like they look like shit, and then I look at the clip after, and it looks great. So I really start playing with my wedge differently a lot now with bench, and this is the one I failed. Actually, I'll get to the bench after. Here is the day. This is the day I pulled 5. Here's the 5. You can see me doing my little breathing thing. Then I sort of like tuck my arms up to like round my shoulder blades, and I sort of push them down, try to tuck my my armpits into my pockets, and it just works for me. And this was the first time 5 plates happened. Incredible. I was so proud of this. It's really kind of momentous for me because of, like, I don't know. Anyway. Here we see elbow, still some issues with elbows flaring, but I'm definitely getting better at that every single time I bench. I've started benching 2 times a week now. On bench, I do a top triple one day, and then I'm doing 5x5s at about 20, 30 pounds lighter later in the week. Here I'm just playing around with some high 400s. This was the video I added because this was one of the clips I saw. My butt comes up, but I've changed my wedge since this time, and my butt is able to stick down. What I do is I sit on the bench very close to the edge near my feet and sort of sit down with my toes on the ground, but not my heels. Then from that, I lurch backwards to set my back and then bring my heels down for the actual press after the unracking. So it's still a legal lift, but it just works. This is 245 for 3. I can't see because the recording bar is in the way of the actual plates, but this is when I'm starting to actually make progress with my heavy triples as opposed to just settling for doubles on weights I've hit for a year now, for example. And I'm starting to feel really happy about that. This was my top set before the 500 pull, I believe. And it just fucking happens, you know? You can see on my face, like, I kind of know today's the day. I'm going for 500, which is, of course, only 5 pounds more than the 4-plate or the 5-plate pull. But check this out. 500 pounds off the ground, no straps. So grateful about this. Just 2 months prior to this clip, my hand was in a cast, or maybe 2.5 months. And just boom. The arms are long, the shoulder, I'm not doing any unnecessary work with my shoulders, trying to shrug it or anything. Just awesome. This was probably my first sort of heavy set of working squats in a very long time. I'm still dealing with patellar tendonitis, still working through it. You see, I'm not hitting depth like I am in some of my older videos, and I really used to pride myself on the like ridiculous depth I hit. But my shin, upper shin, where the patellar tendon is, actually feels like it's going to explode when I put any kind of pressure through my foot when doing quad exercises. So it's I don't know. It's an ongoing battle that I hope to figure out soon. But it's probably not a matter of figuring out, but just doing what I know already works for me, which is like the Spanish squats and isometrics with the leg extension machine at 60 degrees. I haven't done any ridiculously heavy stuff. This might be the 245 for 3. I think the other one's 240. Yeah, this is also a triple PR. Lost and sticky, but it happened, so I'm really stoked about it. But yeah, that still isn't with like the new wedging technique I've started playing with. Here we're, I'm not sure the context of this. This might have been my first squat session after playing some basketball. I wanted to record it to see just how effed up my knees are after just one session of basketball. Because when it comes to basketball, I can't just go and have fun. I have to go all out maximum, try to dunk everything, go like just try to jump out of the gym kind of thing. I'm what you call a try-hard. Here is the all-time bench triple PR. And basically an all-time bench PR because this is 255, which is the most weight I've ever pressed for a single. And here I do it for a triple after just like a month of actually progressing on the bench. Here's a squat PR. This itself was a Hail Mary. This is 365, which is like a 30-something pound PR on the squat. But it kind of went. So I decide to just replace that 25 on each side with a plate and finally break through the ceiling and get that 4-plate squat. and I hit depth here. It's legal. There's definitely a fight, but yeah. Still trying to figure out whether I'm more proud of this or the 5-plate deadlift or the 500-pound deadlift, but who knows?